Welcome to Evolve Together with Empower People, where people are power. I'm Tiffany Joy Greene, MBA. Here, clarity cuts, humor heals, and purpose drives transformation. Join the movement at www.empowerpeople.org and connect with us on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook, because when people are power, purpose wins. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a lighter, quieter edition of Evolve Together with Empower People. I'm Tiffany Joy Greene. I'm under the weather today, but I didn't want to break our rhythm or leave you without clarity, especially with everything happening right now. So instead of a full show, this is a focused check-in, not to overwhelm you, not to rile you up, but to help you orient. Because when the world speeds up, leadership looks like slowing down long enough to ask, what is actually happening here, and what does it mean for me? Let's get grounded. Canada's PM Mark Carney fires back at Trump after Davos. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney publicly pushed back on comments from Donald Trump that implied Canada was economically dependent on the U.S. and should be treated as subordinate. Carney's response was calm, firm, and surgical. He made it clear, Canada is a sovereign nation. Canada is not a client state, and Canada will not be spoken about as if it's owned. Why does this matter? Because this isn't about Canada. It's about a global shift in how power talks right now. When leaders start framing relationships in terms of dominance instead of partnership, that's a signal, not of strength, of insecurity. Healthy power doesn't need to belittle allies. It doesn't need to posture. It doesn't need to turn diplomacy into a loyalty test. This moment tells us something deeper. We are watching a transition from cooperative leadership to transactional leadership. And that mindset never stays in foreign policy. It always comes home. When leaders treat countries like assets, they eventually treat people the same way. Massive winter storm threatening the U.S. A massive winter storm is threatening large parts of the U.S., with forecasts warning of blizzard conditions, power outages, and dangerous travel across multiple states. This isn't just weather, this is a systems test. Every time we see a major climate event, we're not just watching the snowfall, we're watching infrastructure strain. We're watching emergency response capacity. We're watching whether communities are prepared or abandoned. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Natural disasters don't create inequality. They reveal it. Who loses power first? Who can't afford to miss work? Who doesn't have heat backup? Who doesn't have savings? This storm is a reminder that resilience isn't just personal grit. It's policy, it's planning, it's leadership. If your system only works on sunny days, it's not a system, it's a gamble. The TikTok deal, still unresolved. And then there's TikTok. Once again, we're hearing that negotiations are happening behind closed doors about whether TikTok will be sold, banned, restricted, or reshaped in the United States. And everyone is arguing about China, national security, data privacy, free speech, youth culture. But here's the deeper layer nobody's naming. TikTok isn't just an app. It's an economic ecosystem. Millions of creators, small businesses, educators, community organizers, artists, consultants, entire income streams. So when politicians treat it like a chess piece, what they're actually doing is gambling with people's livelihoods. This is not just about who owns a platform. It's about who gets to decide the future of work, influence, and visibility. And the pattern is the same. One, we just saw in other headlines. Power making decisions without fully accounting for human impact. That's the through line. So let's talk about the through line. Let's zoom out for a second. Canada being talked down to, a winter storm exposing infrastructure fragility, TikTok negotiations threatening millions of livelihoods. These are not separate stories. They're the same story wearing different outfits. It's the story of who gets to decide, who bears the consequences, and who is expected to just absorb the impact quietly. This isn't about the left or the right. It's about legitimacy versus control. It's about whether leadership still understands that people are not assets. And if that tension feels personal to you, that's not because you're dramatic, it's because you're perceptive. Now, here's how you can move from anxiety to agency in moments like this. 1. Shrink your decision horizon. You do not need to solve the world. You need to make your next clear move. 2. Separate signal from noise. Ask, what actually affects my life this week? What is just outraged theater? 3. Build micro-resilience, backup plans, emergency funds, skill diversification, community connections. Resilience is a strategy, not a vibe. 4. Choose clarity over constant updates. The goal is not to stay informed 24/7. The goal is to stay oriented. 5. Protect your energy. You cannot be useful if you're constantly activated. Your job is not to panic faster than everyone else. Your job is to think more clearly than most people. And this is where I step in personally. If what we just talked about feels personal, not political, not abstract, but personal, if you feel misaligned, unsettled, or unsure how to move forward in this climate, especially if you're a leader or business owner, that's exactly what the Purpose Reset Architecture session is for. In one focused hour, we slow everything down, make sense of what you're carrying, clarify your priorities, and design your next intentional step. Not hype, not motivation, alignment. You can book it at the link below. This is not about fixing you, it's about giving you clarity. When the world feels louder than your inner compass. This wasn't a full show today, it was a clarity drop. Because leadership isn't always about volume. Sometimes it's about precision. This is Evolve Together with Empower People, where clarity beats chaos and people remain the power. Take care of yourself. I'll be back next episode with full energy. For now, protect your clarity. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join Empower People for free today.